let's talk about the syntax that you need to do various things with sets. So first thing, how do we create a set? And there's a couple different options for this. So option 1 is we use curly braces. So here's an example of how I would do it. I have students equals curly brace, the various items I want to add inside the set, and then the curly brace. And what we get from this is just a set with Sarah, Jordan, and Tyler because, as we know, we can't have duplicates, so Sarah is only stored once. And notice that this looks very similar to how we created dictionaries, which also used curly braces. But the difference is that dictionaries had key value pairs, but sets do not. So keep that in mind. It looks similar, but that's the main difference. And then the second option for creating a set is to use the word set and pass in A, and A is a data type that can be iterated over. So here's an example. So let's say I passed in set with the list Sarah, Jordan, Tyler, Sarah, and I'm passing in the entire list. So our set will be the same as previously in our previous example. It'll be Sarah, Jordan, and Tyler. So the key thing to know is that you're passing in a data type that can be iterated over. And why do we even need this extra syntax? Why don't we just use the curly braces? Remember when I said that curly braces can be used for dictionaries as well? And that takes us into the empty set, which has to be something similar to new set equals set with nothing inside of it. This will create an empty set. This cannot be new set equals curly braces with nothing inside of it. The reasoning why is that empty curly braces create a new dictionary, not a new set. So that's a good reason and a good case to use the set syntax where we pass something in rather than just create our curly braces. Okay, so let's talk about adding to a set. You can use set.add with the item passed into it, or you can do set.update. Again, in this case, with update, you have to have a list that is iterable to add to a set. So here's an example. We have our set that we created. It has Sarah, Jordan, and Tyler. We call .add with another name to it. And what would we expect to see? We would expect to see Sarah, Jordan, and Tyler. This makes sense because we added a name that was already in the set, so there can't be duplicates. Doesn't do anything in this case. But say if we added a name that wasn't in the set, of course, it would be added to the set because it wouldn't be a duplicate. And then, for example, let's say we called update with Sonam and Alex, even though we are not students. This is what our set looks like now. We have Sarah, Jordan, Tyler, but then we also have Alex and Sonam in there. Now let's talk about removing from a set. So pretty similar. You use set.remove, pass in what you want to remove from the set. So let's say our set again is Sarah, Jordan, Tyler. We call students.remove with something in the set. And then the set is what we expect, just Jordan and Tyler because we called remove with Sarah. So what happens if we try removing an element from a set that does not exist? So let's say we have Sarah, Jordan, Tyler again in a list, and we call .remove with Alex. And Alex is clearly not in the list in this case. So what happens here? We get a key error. And you may be wondering, why is it called a key error? And that's due to the underlying implementation of a set. Wouldn't worry too much about it, but just know that there is an error because you're trying to remove something that doesn't exist. Which does make sense. Cool, okay. So knowing what we know here, I'm gonna jump to the Replit to go into a quick coding demo. Alright, so let's create a set. We can actually just use a similar example to what we had in the slides. So let's add Sarah, Jordan, Tyler, and let's just add Sarah again. And let's see what we have inside of our set. Okay, so here we have Tyler, Sarah, and Jordan, as we would expect. Now let's try adding to our list. So we'll call, actually let's do this up here. So we'll call students.add. We'll add something, we'll add Alex even though he's not a student, and let's see what happens. Okay, so this is pretty much what we would expect. And just for fun, let's try adding Jordan to this list and let's see what happens. Okay, so the list remains the same because Jordan's already in the list. Okay, great. Now let's try removing from the list. So we'll do students.remove, and let's remove Jordan from the list. Okay, that's as we would expect. Jordan is removed from our list. Alright, now let's say we try removing Alex from the list, who is clearly not in the list. So, right, so we get this key error that we talked about, because Alex is not on the list, so cannot be removed. Okay, let's test out our update method that we talked about. So let's see, students.update, and let's add Sonam and Alex in a list again, and we'll get rid of this so we don't have the error anymore. So what would we expect our list to be when we hit run? We should expect to see 5 different things in the list. Sorry, in the set, not the list. Okay, awesome. So this is what we would expect it to be. Cool. So those are just some simple things you can do with the set, and the syntax on how to do them.